When I'm recording this, it is Christmas time, and Christmas time is a time of joy and of cheer. So I thought I would take a break from criticizing everything under the sun and finally talk about some games that I actually like. Now, I have played a lot of games in my life, probably too many, and in that time, I've found games that have stuck with me for whatever reason it may be. These games speak to my soul for some bizarre, unknown, ethereal reason. And today, I want to go through those games. But I've put a restriction on this list. I am only allowed to mention one game from a particular franchise, so this won't just be Assassin's Creed, or Call of Duty, or Uncharted, or Batman Arkham, or GTA. This will be a nice variety. If any of your favourite games of all time make it onto this list, make sure to hit like, and if you're new here, hit subscribe with post notifications turned on. Also, thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. These videos can't keep happening without you. With that being said, here is my 10 favourite games of all time. Now, the first ever LEGO Star Wars, which encapsulated just the prequels, was the first game that I ever played fully. It helped that it included the Star Wars films that are, actually good, but on top of that, it mastered what was already fundamentally a great gameplay system. It perfected the mission formula, turning each scene from the films into varied sets of missions. It had a collectible system that actually made you want to engage with it, as it allowed you to unlock different characters from around the series. By the way, shout out to Dexter Jester, what a guy, just magnificent, best part of the films. These games have such a fantastic nostalgia for me, but I can look past that nostalgia and say that they are genuinely fantastically made. There's a reason these games are still beloved. There's a reason the series became so huge. And anyone can have fun playing these games, whether you're an 8-year-old kid like I was, or you're 25. And no, I will not tell you all how old I am. I'm gonna let you guess that in the comments. On another note, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga still has the best lightsaber combat from any game. Come at me, Fallen Order enjoyers, or Force Unleashed enjoyers. No, LEGO Star Wars is just the best. At number 9, we have Rockstar's Bully. A game that from the moment it came out, people wanted to see a sequel of. And Jesus Christ, Rockstar. Like, oh my god, just release a sequel to Bully. Like, look at all these videos. Look how many people want this. You will make so much money. Bully provided such a unique spin on the open world third-person shooter genre. It wasn't Grand Theft Auto, it wasn't Red Dead Redemption, it wasn't Max Payne, it wasn't any of these. It was a genuinely wholesome but still uniquely Rockstar experience. The open world is like nothing I've ever seen before. The immersion of going to this boarding school, having to attend classes which have mini games that are actually fun. The relationships between characters and cliques that, although are very heightened, are still kind of relatable to anyone who's gone to a school. The customization is also A1, carrying over from what Rockstar did with GTA San Andreas and kind of let go by the wayside in future games. A trend you'll start seeing on this list is the word immersion. I value it above maybe anything else in any game, and Bully is ridiculously immersive despite being in such a heightened world. Also, I could never figure out how to make a slingshot as a kid, so this was a real fantasy that I loved. Like, yeah. At number 8, and sticking with the trend of immersion, we have Mafia II, which in my opinion is one of the most underrated stories ever told in gaming. Vito is a phenomenally interesting character, and his relationships with the Mafia and with family are so well strung together throughout the game. On top of that, like I said, the immersion of this world is second to none. Genuinely, aside from a game we'll talk about later, I think this is the most immersive world I've ever seen. The sheer vibes of this city in the 1940s through to the 1960s. It's on another level. The music, the driving, the shooting, everything feels so authentic, but at the same time is still really enjoyable to play. The story makes the game genuinely rewarding as you see Vito climb the ranks. Even when Vito goes to prison and you're taken away from the open world, it doesn't take anything else away from the game or the story. It feels like a genuinely natural progression. Mafia II is easily the best of the Mafia games, and although at times it plays on cliches of the genre, it does it very well. And once again, the sheer vibes of this time period cannot be matched. You may be starting to see a trend of third-person open-world action-adventure games, and let me just spoil it for you now, that trend is going to continue. Sleeping Dogs is another unique spin on this genre, as you take the shoes of an undercover detective in the triads in Hong Kong. But this game isn't made by its shooting or its open world, it's made by its other aspects. It's made by its combat mechanics which lean on martial arts systems. It's made by its movement system that creates this interesting parkour mechanic that isn't always used, but when it is used in beautifully constructed set pieces. The story is all about this interesting mix of loyalty and the idea of justice, how justice and power can be skewed with, how good and bad is never black and white. On top of that, the extra DLC in Sleeping Dogs is absolutely A1. In fact, it's not just DLC, it's all of the side content, especially that leans on the martial arts system. Which again is so intricate as it explores different techniques, different styles, Muay Thai, Wing Chun, Kung Fu. Sleeping Dogs really is a game like no other. It's completely unique in itself, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I don't know if I necessarily need to explain why God of War 2018 is great. I mean, it's God of War. This game reworked the God of War formula to update it to kind of modern standards, but it did it in a way that naturally evolved the franchise. It is once again incredibly immersive. Its combat system is brutal. You feel every hit. You fully embrace this fantasy of being Kratos. And if you play the game like I do, in which you don't really upgrade your health, it creates this glass cannon system which is absolutely enticing, as you're always trying to avoid being hit whilst tearing through enemies. The story is absolutely stunning, both in its interpretations of Norse mythology and in its general storytelling ability of this father and son tale, this parent and child tale. The way Kratos breaks the cycle when you kill your parents. Kratos breaking the cycle of parenticide. And of course the grand reveal at the end, which I won't spoil for anyone who hasn't played the game. God of War is the epitome of the franchise. It's the epitome of how to tell a story within the context of a game world, and it'll always be on this list. Whilst I've said in the past that I believe Arkham City to be the best game in the Arkham series, I do prefer Arkham Asylum for one main reason. It sticks so closely to what I consider to be the Batman comic collection. Never has a game, a film, any other piece of media been quite as accurate to the comics that I read growing up of Batman than Arkham Asylum. And it mirrors this comic influence with influence from the animated series from the 90s, which again just has so many roots in what I love about this character. The world is flawlessly built, matching this comic aesthetic with a real world aesthetic to really make it feel grounded. And of course, I can mention the free flow combat system, which everyone under the sun has mentioned already, but it is fantastic in Asylum. From its very first game, it's near flawless. And in my opinion, I actually prefer the foundational fundamental system more than the additions that City and Origins and especially Arkham Knight made. The stealth is perfect, every mission is built flawlessly, it has some of the best boss battles in the series. It's just chef's kiss. I believe Uncharted 4 is the epitome of encapsulating what Uncharted is. Although Uncharted 2 is fantastic, Uncharted 4 does everything that was done in Uncharted 2 and the other two games and just ramps it up to another level. It takes every fundamental gameplay system and makes it perfect. For the first time in the series, the stealth actually works. The missions retain a similar formula to past games, but they are expanded so much further. And of course, I couldn't not mention the set pieces, which stick for you for a lifetime. I remember the first time that I played the car set piece in, where is it, Brazil or wherever it is. Oh my god. I think there's still a stream highlight of that because I was absolutely blown away. It truly pushed the boundaries of what a linear narrative game could be. Could do. I think it's the best job Naughty Dog have ever done of balancing their gameplay with their story. In a lot of Naughty Dog games, at least I found, the story is a little more overbearing than the gameplay, but Uncharted 4 strikes a perfect balance. Good game. Very good. If you know me at all, you know that I am so fucking biased towards L.A. Noire. I absolutely adore this game. Like I said earlier, the vibes of 1940s and 1950s America are unmatched, and that is made even greater by the world of L.A. Noire. This seedy underworld of the glitz and glamour of the city that you get to see. It truly is dripping with style. On top of that, I think the storytelling in LA Noire was absolutely groundbreaking for the entire medium of video games. I genuinely look at this medium as everything that came before LA Noire and everything that came after, and although Red Dead Redemption 1 also had an influence on it, after those two games, storytelling in games kind of just took a massive step up. Sure, at times the facial animations are a bit wonky, but when they work better than any other game that was coming out at the time. And they play into these interesting missions that are clearly inspired by early noir films, and also completely original in themselves. It develops this three-dimensional set of characters that are fascinating to interact with, especially through the lens of an everyman protagonist like Cole Phelps, who eventually becomes jaded with the world around him. I could talk for hours about why I love LA Noire, and I have in my retrospective that you should go watch right now. But yeah, LA Noire, dripping with style, we'll never forget it. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is the best Assassin's Creed game. What else can I say? It is a flawless balance of the perfect gameplay formula that 1 and 2 established. It has the best mission structure of the series, in which every single mission is given the attention to detail, whether it's a main mission, a side mission, a DLC mission, everything is meticulously crafted. Every piece of content, whether it's side content, collectibles, whatever it may be, is all on the same level. Whilst maybe the peaks of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood aren't as high as the peaks of some of the other Assassin's Creed games, it has this consistent high quality that never drops throughout the entire course of playing. We see Ezio Auditore grow into a mentor, face his greatest demons, lay the foundation for his personal story and revelations. And we also see the best modern day in any game in this franchise, as Desmond finally captures the Piece of Eden, and it leads to him killing off one of the most favourable characters in the entire series. I admit I am the Xbox One world record speedrun holder for this game, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there. That being said, from the moment I played it in 2010 to this very day when I've played it 20 more times, it's still just as good as it was back then. It was very hard for me not to include Red Dead Redemption 1 in this list, because it is probably in my top 5 if we take away the rule that I put on earlier. But I believe the story of Red Dead Redemption as a whole is the best story ever told in games. Red Dead 2 develops a 60-hour experience that never drags, that never falls flat. Every single part of it is vital to the growth and the development in the story of Arthur Morgan and John Marston. The cast of side characters is absolutely unforgettable. Everyone who's played this game can name every single gang member from memory. You care about everyone in the gang. They become a real family for both Arthur and the player. And that makes it even more tragic when the gang falls apart. And then of course there's the world, which is just as expansive as the story, with side content and side characters that are just as interesting as the things that are happening in that main plot. You can ride around this world for hours and hours and never once get bored. And of course, I couldn't not mention the incredible immersion, which really broke a boundary for what immersion could be in games and still hasn't been matched to this day. There isn't another game that has come anywhere close to the level of Red Dead Redemption 2 before or after its release. And everyone I speak to that has ever finished this game has said it has consistently brought them to tears. And those are my 10 favourite games of all time. But I want to know what you think. Is there any big game that I left off this list, or do you agree with my list? Would you reorder it? What's some of your favourite games of all time? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please do hit like, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe with post notifications turned on. And if you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon link is also down there. It's always very much appreciated. With all that being said, I've been Joe, aka Found a Scarab, and I'll see you in the next one.